Alright, so guess what? So I haven't uploaded part 2 yet. I really did have rendering problems. So went out with the wife, we had a nice little afternoon downtown, got back, getting ready to render part 2, and a couple of y'all have told me that I made a math error in part 1. So the good news is, hold on. You guys are so great. This guy, Vimikreb, he's right. It's $1.16 a pound, and it looks like Pat Aiken also noticed. So what I did is I end up reversing the math. I did 25 divided by 29 when it should have been $29 divided by 25 pounds, which then gives you the $1.16 calculation. So I'm going to run the math again for you just real quick, and then we'll get into part 2. Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate you guys getting my back. So then the next question a lot of people ask is, what do they smell like? So let's just go ahead and give it the old sniff test. It's almost like getting the nose off of a fine wine or a good craft beer, I guess. So Milorganite doesn't smell too bad when it's dry, but I will tell you when it gets wet, it does bring out that smell that you just don't want. However, Ringer, it smells kind of sweet, like brew day at the brewery. So if you're scent sensitive, then Ringer Lawn Restore would be your best choice. Alright, so another important consideration though is what's the makeup of the fertilizer? And simply put, Milorganite is poop. That's what it is. It's recycled poop. It's what's called a biosolid, and a lot of people do have a problem with that. And there are a lot of critics online about Milorganite because it's a biosolid and because of some of the other elements that come along with that. Ringer, on the other hand, is made completely from plant parts, which would also contribute to its smell not being as harsh. Alright, so the next test I gave it was what we'll call spreadability, or ease of application. I loaded up the hopper with an inordinate amount of product of each one, and I did a straight trim pass, then I did a couple full width passes back and forth. Of course, this is complete over application, and you should never try this at home. This is way too much fertilizer for Frankenstein to be getting, especially with all the heat we're having. I'm sure he's going to have a massive sugar rush, followed by a quick crash, but you'll have to stay tuned next week to see that. So when it comes to spreadability, there's a couple things. The Milorganite, the pellets are smaller, so definitely there's a different setting on the spreader, of course. The pellets being smaller, they're also more dense, so they fly a little bit further. That actually makes for an easier application for me because I can put a really thick coating, and that's important with Milorganite because you really have to put it down to like 15 pounds per thousand, so it needs to go down in a thick coating. You need those smaller pellets to really give yourself a really good coverage at that higher rate. You can see these are pellets right there. That's Ringer. It's just lighter, so it kind of hangs up here in the top of the grass a little bit. So, you know, obviously once it gets stirred up, it goes away, but you can see the pellets hanging in there. Milorganite being black, you can't see it. I mean, I can dig and find them. See, there's one right there. See, there's a few right there. But you can see they're smaller as well as they're more dense, so they go down into the lawn. Of course, if you're somebody that wants to see your application, you know, you're not gonna be able to really see Milorganite very well. Whereas the Ringer, the pellets are larger, but they're lighter, they're more airy, so they don't fly quite as far, but that's okay because of the light color. I can see it a lot easier when I'm spreading it, so it makes it easier to tell where my application is actually gone. So I would say probably if you're a beginner and you're worried about overlap and things like that, Ringer might be a little bit easier for you. The good news is with either one though, they're organics and they can't burn, so even if you do over apply, you're not gonna burn anything, you might just have a little bit of uneven coloring for a while. I guess the last thing we have to talk about are results, right? I mean, I've been getting great results with both. I pretty much used mostly Milorganite up north at my lawn up there, and you can see that it always kept this really nice blue-green color. That's because of the organic nitrogen, but of course that blast of iron also helps give it that blue color that I really like. I've used Ringer on the church lawn property, and you can see the results we got there in 2013, and then I just started using it here on Frankenstein and have been really happy. How fast the results come with organics really depends on heat and friction mostly, but I will tell you that I do get a little bit quicker results out of the Ringer. Typically Milorganite would take 10 to 12 days or so to see results, but with Ringer I see results literally in like 4 or 5 days. Alright, so there you go guys, this concludes my comparison of Ringer and Milorganite organic fertilizers. If you ask which one I happen to use the most, you guys that watch the channel, you know it's Milorganite. And the reason that I use Milorganite more often is simply because it's readily available. I can get it at any big box store when I'm there and I don't have to go out of my way. So for me, it's just a matter of laziness. But I have always told you that over the years, I do incorporate an application of Ringer at least once a year or every other year just to introduce some different biologics into the soil. But who knows, these guys sent me this Ringer here for free. Maybe they'll send me more. Maybe they'll send me enough for us to do a giveaway. Until then, I hope this has been helpful to you. I'm Alan Hain, the Lawn Care Nut, and I'll see you in the lawn.